And hello everyone, today we are watching some World of Warships, and today we are watching the Kaga, like everybody has been demanding. The Kaga is a very interesting ship, or interesting carrier. She has a ridiculous amount of planes that she can have on board, which you can see in her fighter squadron. So, she has 8 rocket planes that will go out, and then she has 12, let me just say that. 12 torpedo bombers and 12 dive bombers, which is crazy. It just helps her out in so many ways, and it's just kind of ridiculous. So, planes-wise is really amazing. But the only problem with those, of course, is if you lose planes, which is very popular with any Japanese aircraft carrier because of the low health pool on each of the planes, it can run out of planes very quickly, and so you're just kind of sitting there without any planes. But today we're gonna watch a very good Kaga game. It's on the Two Brothers map. I don't know if you can see that, but it's still really good. So, pros and cons of the Kaga. Obviously, it's a Japanese ship, so she's got fast airplanes, but the low health pool. That's the only problem. But as you're about to see, very, very, very accurate dive bombers, which is very unusual for the Japanese tech tree. The dive bombers are typically not very accurate, and as you can see, if a single flak burst happens, they're all gone. So this is a tier 9 battle, and as you can see, we are also just focusing on destroyers. That's always the name of the game. You want to spot your destroyers, and you want to sink those destroyers. Now, your rocket attack airplanes are probably the weakest ones out of them all. I would say your torpedoes are probably going to be the best ones, and then your dive bombers, then your rocket attack airplanes. But of course, there is a destroyer that decided to be smart and go down the middle of the channel in Two Brothers. Don't ask me why. I'm not them. I don't get that lucky whenever I play Two Brothers. So obviously, this is where we're going to try to get as much damage as possible. Now, do note, it's not being shown here, but the carriers had a rework in 9.9. And it was kind of not documented. It was a lot of changes. To be honest with you. The reticle on your rocket attack airplanes is very different. And also the flight pattern is going to be very different as well. So that's been kind of like the most annoying part, for me at least, whenever I played some carriers recently on my stream, is just that little reticle is not the best. So we've kind of been talking about the pros and also seeing how well we're doing, but look how many freaking planes there are. Look at that. That is ridiculous. So once again, the pros of this carrier is that you get a lot of planes. Now the cons is the carrier is a very slow carrier, cannot take a lot of damage. She does have some quote-unquote good secondaries, but you're not using the carrier for secondaries. Good AA defense, so it can protect itself from other, carriers. But for the most part, your bread and butter is going to be these torpedoes. Like, look at that. Oof. Surprised there wasn't a flood, to be honest with you. But these torpedoes, you drop 4. Which is pretty good to begin with. Usually at this tier, you're dropping 2, maybe 3, depending on your nation. So you're getting 4, which is amazing to say the least. Those were decent. They're gonna strike. Maybe. No, they didn't arm in time. So the arming range. Oh yeah, that's the other thing too. Arming ranges have also slightly changed in this new patch, which nobody told us. Yay! Thank you, Wargaming. So there's like a hot fix that came out and everything, but there's a lot of changes that Wargaming didn't tell us in this patch, and it's just kind of ridiculous. So overall, your planes, you want to try to concentrate fire on the target. You want to be smart, basically. Avoid all these flak bubbles. If you can. If you run into one of these flak bubbles, you're going to lose a lot of planes because just how your planes build up. And as you can see, Very, very, very accurate on your dive bombers. Even though only one bomb hit, it still is a lot better than most most of the dive bombers in the tech tree, to be honest with you. Concealment wise of the ship is pretty good. You can kind of see it here. It is a 7.5, or wait, sorry, 12.2 for the actual carrier itself, 7.5 for these planes right here, or no, those are four, sorry. It's really hard. That's a really tiny screen. But this is what I love about these torpedoes. Is you can get a good, if a ship is just sitting in the water like this one is, like this battleship. Oof, here it comes. All four of those probably will hit. If not, 3. 1, 2, 3, boom. Unfortunately, no flooding, which is kind of surprising, to be honest with you. But as you can tell, this is your bread and butter right here. Is your torpedo. They do a lot of damage. Now, unfortunately, he lost all of his fighters, but he gets a kill from it. Somehow he gets a detonation. We get a detonation from it, but whatever you want to say, right? Crazy. I don't get that lucky. He probably hit his torpedoes right in the magazine, which caused the detonation. So overall, Kaga, would I recommend her as a premium ship to buy? This is where I put an asterisk on, because any carrier I'm always asterisk on. I don't do carriers as much as some people do. Now, if you're a carrier main and you love, oh, that was beautiful. Those three dive bombs. Oof. Anyways, sorry. Now, if you are a carrier main and you're going down the Japanese line, yes, of course, do this. The only problem, though, is you have HE bombs here, and most of the Japanese have armor-piercing bombs. So that's going to be your biggest difference between the two. So plan accordingly on your captain perks, but it's just so satisfying. 3. That's not bad at all. Now, if you're a normal player that don't play carriers as much, I would hold off on the Kaga. I would see if you like the Japanese line to begin with. If you don't like your planes being constantly shot down and you can't avoid those flak bubbles, you will have issues, immense issues. To be honest with you, I would probably recommend the Enterprise over the Kaga, but they both do about the same things, roughly. Just the Kaga have a little less health than the Enterprise ones, but the Enterprise is, of course, the Enterprise, and it's an amazing ship, historically and everything with her. So, luckily, these attack runs have been taking, he's not lost his whole entire fighter squadrons or his dive bombers or anything, so he's not losing planes. That's the good news. And he's not using all of his planes either. He's being deliberate. We're being deliberate with our attacks, which is probably the biggest thing. Is if you're not being deliberate with your attacks and you're just wasting your planes away, you're gonna have issues, because you could just be sitting there with no planes and nothing to launch. Because even right now, if he loses every one of his dive bombers right now, we would be perfectly fine. And the tail of the two trolls went down the middle of the channel. The Gneisenau and the Scharnhorst. But luckily, our Gneisenau won. Now, he's going up for another attack run. I wish I could show you the reticle, but basically, if you could imagine, that reticle is very small, and it makes your life so much easier. Let's see, what else can we talk about? Oh, and if you are new to my channel, please feel free to subscribe. We're so close to 1,000 subscribers. We're about to do a 24-hour stream. I'm shooting around the 23rd of October is my game plan. I don't know if this is a bug or not, but basically his planes went to Timbuktu and beyond because of two brothers in that giant map and the giant mountain. So now, this is where I would say it's a little dicey. Yes, you are going against some battleships that don't have as good AA defense, but as you can see, he's not making the immediate turnaround. He's trying to get as far away from the flak as possible, and also to make sure that he has a good attack run for the last one. This is a little... This one, luckily the other battleship dies, so the flak does die down, but if those were two complete healthy ships, I would be kind of worried about it, about losing all of your planes. Unfortunately, we do get a little bit of a damage on our teammate, but that's just because the torpedoes went beyond, like one torpedo went beyond, so no biggie there. But yes, as you can see, these planes, you got planes for days, and it's just constant bombardment. Just constant. And we've been, you know, pretty good on our targets. End game, it was asking, why are you being so toxic? And it's just purely because he can launch so many planes out. And he's using his planes safely with the proper usage, if that makes sense. Basically, we're rotating out our planes as much as possible, making sure that there's a full squadron, not using all of them to make sure we're good. And we have a constant, you know, barrage. A lot of players don't understand that. Even myself, I don't truly understand it all the time, of like, I need to rotate my planes out more, because that's how I'm losing my planes all the time. So as you can see, the last two ships are sitting right next to each other. We got a battleship and a cruiser left. And this is where we're going to be a little patient, because the cruiser, I believe, is a US cruiser. And so it's going to just light you up. Because most of that flak's coming from the cruiser over there. But we got a good torpedo run. Oh, it was a Japanese, I believe, and I thought I saw a fighter. Yeah, there's a fighter. But we got a high caliber award. We've done 158,000 damage. That is insane, especially for a carrier, I feel like. But once again, you just gotta cycle out your planes, pick your targets out appropriately, and just keep constantly using them. Keep constantly using your planes. We get maybe one more. Oh, so close. We almost did. But, oh, 161k, sorry. Thought we were at one, we were gonna cop out there. Not yet. Also, look on the map too, where we have positioned our carrier. It's going to be pretty good. It's basically right there, right in the middle, where capture point D would normally be. Usually you see carriers not positioned very well, and if you're not positioned well, then it takes your planes, you know, 30 seconds, 40 seconds or more to go and get to your target. Now, as you can see, we've been mostly just using dive bombers and torpedo bombers. We have not really been touching our attack track, which makes sense just due to the fact that the rocket, they aren't good. They aren't good whatsoever. So as you can tell, we're still moving our carrier to move towards the other carrier, so that we can constantly use our planes. And will we get a strike off? Just barely. Got a fire. But, you know, it happens. It happens. It happens that, you know, the carrier, one, will automatically use its damage repair, because, you know, that's an auto thing. So, that's the only sad thing. But you can see why people love the Kaga. It's just this... If you know how to play her right, you will swarm your enemy. If you don't know how to play her right, you're going to be sitting up with no planes on your deck, and you're just going to be sitting there waiting and waiting and waiting until you get a full squadron, which can be annoying, to be honest with you. Is the Kaga balanced? I think so, for the most part. I I've seen Kaga players be horrible, and I've seen amazing Kaga players. This one is an amazing Kaga player because they're constantly not putting all their planes in danger. We do one attack run. We go about 4.5 kilometers out. I say that and we lose all of our planes, but that's because there's fighters. If the fighters weren't on him, he probably wouldn't have lost all of his planes. He may get him with that. We will see. Got 2, 3. Nope, did not kill him. But yeah. Overall, Kaga's an okay ship. I say okay. She's probably a lot of, like, me as a destroyer main, I would probably hate her as much as possible because A, the dive bombers would kill you so instantly. And we're also at the point of the game where we could have done better on A, defense and using our fighters to protect our team, but it doesn't matter at this point. We're gonna win. So there you go. You always want to avoid all this flak if you can, because that's where all that damage is, and that's where most of your planes are gonna die. Except for, you know, fighters. Ooh, we got a fire, and we got the kill. So, that is the Kaga in a nutshell. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. We got over almost 200k damage. Almost 1 million credits, which is amazing, to be honest with you. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you want to see next, and thanks for watching. Thanks, bye-bye.